Orthopaedic surgeons say there's been a dramatic rise in the number of Australians having corrective surgery after being implanted with failing hip joints. More than 90,000 patients globally had their DePuy hips recalled following reports toxic metals were leaching into their blood. Many patients say despite the surgery they're still suffering pain and financial loss, plus a fear for the future. Caroline Winter has the story.
Just go back to having a normal leg. That was what I wanted, was just a normal leg, one that I could walk on, no pain, no suffering.
She had hoped to dance again, but for Margaret Opus, just walking or tending to her garden is an effort.
I'm still faced with the fact that this one may not see me out, and I'm going to have to line up for another one, and then they cut a bit more bone off, and it's very frightening.
A full hip replacement was something Angela Grimaldi tried to avoid for years, but she was left with no other choice.
A total disaster so far as Johnson & Johnson is concerned, but a total disaster on the personal lives of people who trusted this device.
18 months ago, Johnson & Johnson subsidiary DePuy Orthopaedics recalled 2 of its metal-on-metal hip devices after stories of unbearable pain and blood poisoning were revealed. The faulty hip implants affected 93,000 people worldwide, 5,500 of those in Australia, 1,500 in South Australia. Many Australians are undergoing painful surgery to have the problem implants changed. According to Australian Orthopaedic Association President Graham Mercer, that number is on the rise.
At about 6 years from implantation, about 25% of patients have had their hips revised.
Are surgeons overworked? I mean, are they finding that there are more people coming through the doors right now?
Look, I think by definition, if we look at the English data, probably the numbers are going to increase.
I think her name could be Nanny.
Angela Grimaldi was told the new DePuy hip resurfacing device would change her life. But following surgery in 2007, she noticed a clunking noise when she moved. It wasn't until the device was recalled that she learnt what that meant.
That clunking was the metal ball, it's metal against metal, the metal ball rubbing against it and releasing microscopic particles of cobalt.
Within 12 months of the recall, the cobalt levels in Angela Grimaldi's blood rose dramatically, forcing her to have a full hip replacement. The whole process has put pressure on her family, impacted her independence and caused her side effects and pain in other parts of her body. And like other patients, it's also left many questions unanswered about any long-term effects of the high cobalt and chromium which have leached into their blood.
I wonder if that has actually caused some neurological damage. I wonder if it is going to affect other organs. And that's still hanging over me like a black cloud.
What we don't know is individual sensitivity to those particular metals. So we don't know whether a particular level may affect some people and not others, and that's why we need to do some appropriate scientific research to actually try and match the symptoms to the levels.
The thought of a third hip operation was almost too much for Margaret Opus to bear.
Scared to hell, because I thought, it's just my luck that I'm going to have one of these hips. I was hoping that it wasn't, but I did.
She had her revision surgery 4 months ago and by now should have returned to work. But she's far from healed and is not only fighting to get well physically, but also for financial compensation.
I was under the assumption that things would be sorted out with the company that was taking care of all the medical costs. They were also going to take care of my monies as well, but that hasn't happened.
She gave away her dog because she couldn't afford to feed it and is worried about her future.
Unless a miracle happens in the next 2 weeks that I can actually get up, walk around and go back and find a job, I have no idea where I'm going to go. None at all.
In terms of recovery of out-of-pocket expenses such as wages and travelling expenses, it's been an ongoing battle for a lot of people.
In a statement, DePuy Orthopaedics says,
"The company is currently providing information support and assistance to over 4,200 patients in Australia and New Zealand. It has engaged an independent claims processor to ensure patient questions are addressed and out-of-pocket expenses reimbursed as efficiently as possible."
Margaret Opus and Angela Grimaldi are two of the many South Australians involved in a class action against Johnson & Johnson and DePuy Orthopaedics. Lawyer David McLeod says he expects that number will grow to several hundred in the coming months.
I think this is as a result of the fact that a year or so has now gone by and they're going back to see their surgeons, and the situation has deteriorated, and the surgeons are now recommending that the a redo operation happen, whereas 12 months ago it was a sort of a wait and see for a number of these people.
The class actions, which have been commenced around Australia, have recently been consolidated in the federal court. They mirror hundreds of lawsuits across the world, although none have yet been tried in court.
They need to know what effect it's had on people. It's not for the money, it's for the action, you know. Wrong has been done to a lot of people.
I would hope that this doesn't happen to anyone else at all. Nothing like this ever again.